What's going on, Who Dat Nation? Welcome into today's show, and we got a pretty interesting show for you. So we're going to be talking about some roster news because the Saints made some additions, and we're also going to talk about Tre'Quan Smith. Could he be getting cut this offseason before we even get to the preseason? Bleacher Report thinks they might. I think that they kind of might. But before we get to that, let's go. If you're subscribed, y'all know my saying out here. I love to say, y'all stay golden. We'll catch you next time. So I need you to type stay golden if you are subscribed, because at the end of the day, Saints fans live their life golden. We're on top and we're number one. That's why we rep the black and gold, baby. So I need you to subscribe and type stay golden in the comment section. All right, so in terms of some Saints roster news, New Orleans has signed 2 of their tryout players that tried out at rookie minicamp this past weekend, and those are 2 former NFL players, but most recently, XFL players. So Niko Lalos, he was a former New York Giant. He spent some time with the Saints. He was a Seattle Seadragon this past spring for the XFL. Jack Heflin with the Houston Roughnecks, adding some depth to the defensive line. So in terms of Lalos, look at that. I found the XFL stats. Don't know how, but I found them. So he had 22 in 2022. He had 10 games played. The XFL season was 10 games. You only played 12 if you were the DC Defenders or the Arlington Renegades, because those were the teams in the championship. So they played 10 games for Seattle Seadragons. 35 tackles, a sack and a half, and 7 tackles for loss, as well as a forced fumble. And in terms of Niko Lalos' resume, in 2019 he was first team All Ivy League at Dartmouth. He also was with the New York Giants from 2020 to 2021. And then in 2022, he was on the Saints practice squad. That might be why you think this name is familiar. It's because he was with the Saints. However, in 2023, he spent the spring with the Seattle Seadragons. And then now he is currently on the New Orleans Saints. He'll be fighting for a roster spot. And he brings in some depth to the defensive line. As well as Jack Heflin. He played some time with the Green Bay Packers. He's been around the league a little bit. But for him in the Houston Roughnecks, he had 25 tackles, 1 sack, 3 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits. He is also bringing in some depth to defensive line. And in terms of Heflin's resume, he was with the Green Bay Packers from 2021 to 2022. And then in 2022, he found himself on the Giants practice squad. In 2023, during the spring, he was with the Houston Roughnecks. And then now he is with the New Orleans Saints. So here's what the depth chart looks like right now. You got Cameron Jordan, Nathan Shepard, Brian Brzee, Isaiah Foskey. Now, I keep Isaiah Foskey up here on the defensive end over Carl Granderson because I believe by the time we get to, week 1 or 2, there will be a serious competition as to who starts at the defensive end position. Carl Granderson likely will start, but I just want to get Isaiah Foskey's picture on here because, honestly, he's got a pretty sharp-looking suit on, so you got to show some love. Same with Brian Brzee, honestly. That jacket's fresh. But back on topic, Niko Lalos and Jack Heflin, they are in some depth pieces. Colin Saunders, he was also brought in as well. You could see him. You could see Nathan Shepard starting. The point being, there's a lot of rotation going on with the defensive line. There's a lot of talented players here, and that means there's a lot of competition to be had. But, guys, I want to ask you, is the Saints defensive line complete? Type Y for yes, but if you don't think it is, I need you to name a player you want to add, whether it's through a trade, whether it's free agency. Let me know. There's still guys like Quinnen Williams, Frank Clark. You have players like Yannick Ngakoue. So let me know. If you think the Saints defensive line is good, you don't need to add anything else, just type Y for yes. If you think they need to add somebody, let me know in the comment section. This is filmed in our live show, and I see a couple people saying, let's go get Frank Clark. I love the idea. All right, so let's talk about cutting Tre'Quan Smith because Bleacher Report put out an article laying out a cut candidate for every NFL team this year. And for the Saints, they had Tre'Quan Smith. And I'm going to get into what Bleacher Report had to say and share my thoughts on it. But before we get to that, in the comment section and in the description of this video, you can get the link for the Saints jerseys on sale. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. We got Cam Jordan. We got Tyrann Mathieu. We got Chris Olave, Taysom Hill, Drew Brees, Derek Carr, Rashid Shaheed. You want me to keep going? Marshawn Lattimore, Demario Davis. I can keep going all day long because we have jerseys all day long. Go get geared up. Chatsports.com/Saints jerseys. Again, it'll be in the comment section in the description of this video. So for his stats, I want to share my thoughts on Tre'Quan Smith, and then we'll get into what Bleacher Report had to say. So for the stats by year, this is just something I wanted to lay out. I wanted to include this PFF run blocking grade because Tre'Quan Smith's biggest redeeming quality is the fact that he's a really, really good run blocker. And as you can see, not that great. Really good year, not that great. Better year, not that great. So it's up and down, left and right, over, under, backwards, forwards. Tre'Quan Smith is just one of those guys who's wildly inconsistent. You can't trust him to be a true wide receiver 2 or 3. I'm not that high on Tre'Quan Smith. I'm not saying he's not a good football player. He does bring value, but you brought in Bryan Edwards, and I think that that's the player that's going to edge out Tre'Quan Smith for a roster spot. And at the end of the day, Bryan Edwards is a better run blocker and pass catcher than Tre'Quan Smith. So as for what Bleacher Report had to say, they said since a promising rookie year in 2018, Tre'Quan Smith just hasn't broken through. He's had a steady presence in New Orleans, but to date, peaked at 34 receptions in 2020. If the Saints are comfortable with A.T. Perry and Bryan Edwards behind the starters, Smith may be edged out. And as we take a look at the depth chart, you can see what I was talking about in terms of Chris Olave, Michael Thomas, Rashid Shaheed. Those are your 1, 2, and Michael Thomas is probably your wide receiver 1, but you have your 1, 2, and 3 right there. A.T. Perry, your 6th-round draft pick, he's going to be great. You went and signed James Washington to add to the depth chart. He's a veteran speedster who can help you be a downfield threat. Bryan Edwards, I expect him to make the roster. Kirk Merritt, he's a great special teams and depth piece. Malik Flowers, honestly, I could see him making the roster as a special teams guy and as a kick returner because he has tied Rashid Shaheed's 7 kick return touchdowns at the collegiate level. And so I think that's really interesting. Malik Flowers, I would be surprised if he doesn't make this roster, as well as Shaq Davis, great player out of South Carolina State. I think that he is another player to keep an eye out. He did show some promise at rookie minicamp. So that's just how the wide receiver depth chart shakes out. I don't think that Tre'Quan Smith is going to make the roster, but I'm not the GM. I want you to put yourself in the shoes of the GM. Be Mickey Loomis in this situation. What to do with Tre'Quan Smith? What would you do with Tre'Quan Smith? Type C for cut, type K for keep. Let me know in the comment section. I can't wait to see what you have to say. All right, so now let's talk about an extension for Cameron Jordan because reports are out right now saying that the Saints and Cameron Jordan are working on a contract extension, which I think is awesome. And this is coming in from Cam's agent. He's looking for at least a 2-year deal. So that is something that tells me he wants to do 2 more years, finish out his career, try to get a ring with the New Orleans Saints, and ride off into the sunset and be done and just enjoy being, a Saints legend in Cameron Jordan. And so as for what Cameron Jordan had to say, he spoke on getting an extension. And he says, if we get a deal done, that'll probably be the final years of my career here. Whatever happens, happens. In terms of how we play, how we want to attack offenses, that's what I'm here for. And then that's what he's been here for this entire 192-game career. I mean, in just 1 game missed over his entire career due to injury. And that happened this past season because he got poked in the eye. The only other games he's ever missed were due to COVID in 2020. So he had 639 tackles across his career, 150 tackles for loss, 219 quarterback hits, 115 and a half sacks, and then 58 pass breakups, 15 forced fumbles. Cameron Jordan is a certified Saints legend. He has earned himself a spot on the New Orleans Saints Mount Rushmore, and I am a firm believer that Cameron Jordan will go down in history as one of the greatest New Orleans Saints players of all time. He's one of my favorite players that I've gotten to watch in my lifetime, and at the end of the day, this defense would not be what it was without Cameron Jordan. He was there through thick, he was there through thin, he was there through the good, the bad, and the ugly. Cameron Jordan has been nothing but loyal to this team. He embodies and encompasses what the team stands for and what the city of New Orleans stands for. He also is just a awesome, entertaining, fun player to have in the locker room. And I just have to say, thank you so much for everything, Cam. I would hope to get you back. So type 94 in the comment section if you love Cameron Jordan, because I know I do. I need you to show some love to Cam Jordan in the comment section. Spam 94. If you want to type it and go above and beyond, type 94 94 times or something. But at the end of the day, show him some love. Thank you, Cameron Jordan. Hope we can get an extension worked out sooner rather than later because he's entering a contract year. He's going to be a free agent after this season. Let's keep him here. Type 94.